Princess Nageena was the only daughter of the king, and he loved her dearly. She was extremely beautiful and wise. As she grew older, the king and queen began to worry about her marriage. Around that time, 2 princes proposed for her. The king found it difficult to choose between them, so he consulted the queen, but even she couldn't come to a decision. The 2 princes were from neighboring kingdoms. One was Prince Shandar. He was noble, wise, brave, and very handsome. The other was Prince Dilshad. He was neither noble nor wise, nor was he brave. Secretly, he had planned that after marrying Princess Nageena, he would plot to take over the throne. Since marriage is a lifelong commitment, the queen decided to ask Princess Nageena for her opinion. "Whichever prince you like," she said, "we will arrange your marriage with him." After telling her everything about the 2 princes, the queen asked her choice. Princess Nageena replied, "Dear mother, you have raised me to respect my parents' decisions. I will marry whoever you choose for me." The queen was pleased, hugged her, and said, "Bless you, my child. We've told you everything about the 2 suitors, but we can't decide who would be better. Please, help us choose." After thinking for a moment, Princess Nageena said, "Then fine, I will marry the prince who fulfills 3 conditions I set." "What are these conditions?" the queen asked in surprise. Princess Nageena smiled and said, "My first condition is that the prince must swim in the pond where a man-eating crocodile lives. The second is that he must eat an entire cauldron full of rice. And the third and final condition is that he must bring a sleeping horse and ride it." The queen stared at her in disbelief, then stood up and said, "So you don't want to get married at all? No one can fulfill such strange and impossible conditions. Do you even know how terrifying and massive that crocodile is? Who would dare swim in that pond? And which prince could eat an entire cauldron of rice? Princes are delicate, just a little food fills them up. And riding a sleeping horse? Horses sleep or run, not both." The princess just smiled. This made the queen angry, so she stormed off to complain to the king. Hearing this, the king smiled and said, "My queen, have you forgotten? You also had 3 conditions before you agreed to marry me. Many princes failed to fulfill them. But didn't I fulfill them all?" The queen remembered those old days and began to smile too. Now I don't know how to explain to her that these silly conditions are ridiculous. "No need to worry," the king said. "Our daughter wants a brave and intelligent husband." The next day, both princes were taken to the pond in the forest. Princess Nageena pointed and said, "This is the pond where the man-eating crocodile lives. Will you swim in it?" As she said that, a huge crocodile appeared near the edge of the pond, mouth wide open. Seeing this, Prince Dilshad panicked. "Life is precious. I'm not going near that pond. And those other conditions are also too hard. Only a giant could eat a full cauldron of rice. Where will I even find a sleeping horse? I'm leaving. I don't want to marry the princess." And with that, he left. After he was gone, Prince Shandar said, "Princess, tomorrow I will swim in this pond for you." That night, his servants threw a large net in the pond and captured the crocodile. They released it into a distant river. The next morning, when the king, queen, and princess came to the pond, they were amazed to see Prince Shandar swimming peacefully. "What happened to the crocodile?" the princess asked. "I had it caught and released into the river. I've fulfilled your first condition. The condition was to swim in the pond, not to fight the crocodile," said the prince as he got out. The queen was amazed. The king smiled. The princess said, "Very clever, prince. You've passed the first test. I'm impressed by your intelligence." In the afternoon, she asked, "Prince, when will you eat the cauldron of rice?" "Very soon," he replied. Just then, one of his attendants returned to the palace carrying something. Prince Shandar took it and put it in his pocket. Soon, the servants laid out the feast, including a huge cauldron of rice. The king looked worried. "Young man, do you think you can eat a full cauldron of rice?" "Not just one, I could eat 2, the prince joked. Then he pulled out a tiny metallic cauldron from his pocket, specially made by his servant from the market. He filled it with rice and ate it all in front of the princess. "Princess, I've eaten an entire cauldron of rice. Your second condition is fulfilled," he said with a playful smile. Princess Nageena burst into laughter. The king turned to the queen and said, "My dear, start preparing for the wedding. I have a feeling he'll ride the sleeping horse too." That evening, the royal family was strolling in the garden when they saw Prince Shandar approaching with a horse. "Where are you going with that horse?" the king asked. "This horse is very special," said Prince Shandar proudly. "I bought it from the market. The seller told me it's descended from the horses of Hatim Tai. I've even given it a great name." "What name?" the princess asked eagerly. "I've named it Sleeping Horse. Since it's my horse, I can name it anything I like. Now I'll ride the sleeping horse and fulfill your third condition." He mounted the horse, galloped around the garden, and returned to them. King, queen, princess smiled. She sought a wise, brave husband. "That's why I set these conditions to test his intelligence. Thank God I found such a prince." Hearing this, the king and queen breathed a sigh of relief. Soon after, Prince Shandar and Princess Nageena were married in a grand celebration and lived happily ever after.